The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, for beer with sports talk and a whole lot more. Join host Brent Radlinsky as he bellies up to the bar and gets the conversations going that'll make you think you're sitting in your local watering room. It's sports, beer, and shenanigans, so sit back, grab a few beers, and let's get in.
Welcome into the Really Honest Sports Podcast, teaming up with the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Always appreciate my friends north of the border will join me. It's actually colder here, which might be a sign of the apocalypse. I don't know, but we got Brent probably riding high after all these Yankee signings from his boy Brian Cashman. How's Brent doing these days?
I'm doing really good. Christmas is right around the corner. Yesterday at the office, we had some actually fun stuff. We talked some like baseball for once instead of business, which was nice, and wound up the year. And now we're still talking baseball and sports. Everything's good. And it's the holiday season now is upon us. So why not have some fun and talk some sports? Yeah,
absolutely. We're in the home stretch here of the holiday season. I don't do that calendar that I used to as a kid. You know, you'd open like the window. I don't know if you ever did that. And then
the advent calendars. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a damn shame to grow up. I mean, it's not what I signed up for. But
well, it's funny you say that. Me and the wife went out for a couple of beers last night after I got done something else on this stupid thing. But I was laughing at there's people that were there and the university courses were done or whatever, and they're sitting there and they're smiling and laughing. And I said to the wife, do these people have any idea what they're getting themselves into? Like they're getting old and they're all smiling and having a good time. And and you shouldn't be negative and you should try to carry on. But there was a couple of girls I was thinking, these two little girls, they're about 21, 22 years old. They have no idea what they're getting themselves into in about 3 years. You know, when all this is done and you got to go to work and your car won't start and you got no money and blah, blah, blah. I was like, stay young forever, man, if you can, because it's not that it gets real tough, but it gets tough sometimes.
It gets tougher, right? It gets tougher. Yeah. I agree. I mean, going back to a couple of years ago, like things were, I don't know. I don't want to turn 30, but sports podcast, not a life podcast, but I kind of wanted to just get right into, stick on the topic of baseball there. A lot of things going on in the free agency period. I mean, they're never going to compete with like the NFL and stuff like that to get headlines, but Yankees make a couple moves there. I mean, were you surprised first off that Nester got dealt? I mean, I guess the writing was on the wall after the World Series, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think the thing with Nester, he was a shiny new toy, and he had the gimmicky pitch and the different moves, and he looked like Mario Brothers and the whole bit. And it was a gimmick for a while, and it worked. But then it kind of, I think with him, once it wasn't as effective as it could be. They sold when he was, I don't want to say high, but he was a mid-tier guy right now, so they could probably go get a couple of guys to help their team right now. And Nester was probably on the outside looking in, and he made it be known he wanted to be a starter, and he felt he should have been a starter, and he just wasn't going to be when they went out and signed Max Fried. I think the writing was on the wall, like you said, that he was probably going to be on the outside looking in, and that's the way it kind of turned out.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly think the Yankees, as long as Devin Williams stays healthy, I think they kind of made out with like bandits in that deal, just because, I mean, he's a great pitcher. He's had his struggles in the postseason, which is a little, concerning, I guess you could say, but the guy's like top tier reliever when he's healthy. So, I mean, to trade, like you said, to trade off to trade off Nester Cortez there, while he still had some value, I think I would do that trade 10 times out of 10 times. Like
every single time, if you get a reliever, and especially a guy that's on his he's on a contract year, you don't know how many years, especially guys that you don't know, they could pitch today and be done tomorrow with the way guys are so worried about their velocity and how hard they throw ball for, and it's crazy to think that you can go out and just get a guy that's Milwaukee. And that's one thing I didn't understand was why Milwaukee was so, because they had a playoff team and they're a good why they were so they felt the need to get rid of a guy. Why not hold on to him? And if you can get to another 10, 20, whatever wins or whatever the hell, and then put yourself in a position, then trade him, why not? Like, I don't understand what the need is for these managers and general managers, like you were saying, at the winter meetings to try to make news. I don't understand. It's like they almost make trades just to make trades to be relevant. It doesn't make sense why these things happen during the winter meetings, because no one's watching anyways, like you said, because the NFL's on and now you got the college football playoff is on. So why bother? Why bother to make news now? Why not wait till after the Super Bowl, after spring training? Who cares where the guy works out? I don't understand why these guys feel the need to make these deals at the winter meetings. Just because Jeff Passan's there, who cares? It's odd to me.
Yeah, I almost think they're stroking their ego a little bit at those winter meetings. Like, it's just like, can I outdo this guy? Can Brian Cashman outdo this or that? All that. So, yeah, I agree with you. I didn't really think about it that way, but it definitely seems to be the case that at the winter meetings, there's always going to be, basically a bunch of guys getting moved around. The whole Devin Williams thing with the Brewers, I don't know why. I mean, I do know why, because they're cheap bastards, really. I mean, that's how it is. But like, they moved on from Josh Hader in a very similar way. They moved on. They traded Corbin Burns to the Orioles with one more year of control. Like, they just do this with pitchers. And I mean, to their credit, they're a playoff. They're one of those teams like you guys say all the time. You lick the jar. Like, they're the epitome of licking the jar in the last 5 years. Like, they make the playoffs, they quickly exit. I think the COVID year they went to the NLCS, but it's like, yeah, I'm with you. And Devin, I saw a little bit of his presser with the Yankees there, and he's like, you know what? Like, I know how they operate, so I almost think that they can't even bring him back for this year, if you're the Brewers, because he's just going to be pissed off. He's going to know that, you know what, this team they're not going to re-sign me. I mean, maybe that's the wrong attitude. Like, he could just go out there and pitch one more year regardless. But I think they just, you know what, they're going to cut bait a year early, try and get something for him, because he's going to walk in free agency anyway. It's just, this is small market baseball, I guess. And they find a way to replenish it.
Like, it's like you say that, but what I would do is, if I was the Brewers, or if I was a manager of a major league team like that, or general manager, or the managing partner, or whoever the hell, the guy who's stroking the checks, I'd go public. I said, we offered this guy this much. We said, we never said we weren't going to sign him. We tried to sign him. We gave him everything he possibly could, and don't make it public per se. Like, don't come out in a press conference and have all of your banners up, but just leak things here and there, and make the because once the inmates run the asylum, which is happening in Milwaukee, and then let the fans. What you're doing is you're letting the fans know that you're still trying to compete, not giving up, like you did with Hader, like you did with Burns. Like, if you can say, no, we gave it an effort to sign this guy, and he basically said, after this year, I'm leaving. And shoot high. Like, these guys are going to make how much anyway, so why not just give it to him? If you're giving a guy 18, give him 21. Who cares? Like, it's just a way, and to make your franchise viable, and to say, you know what, we're doing all we can to win a World Series, or to get to a World Series even. And then these guys are saying, no, we're leaving. Put it in their court a little bit. Don't let the inmates run the asylum. And I think that's what Milwaukee has to try to do, instead of saying, yeah, he wasn't going to sign here anyways. So why even have a franchise then? Screw it. You just give up.
Yeah.
I just think there's other ways to go about it than just saying, yeah, well, he wasn't going to sign here. Well, you don't know. You don't know if the pretty girl's going to go to the prom with you if you don't ask her. Like, it's kind of that simple.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the thing is, like, he said that they didn't even offer him a deal. So I don't know if maybe they offered him a deal and it wasn't even close to competitive. And by that, he means they didn't offer me a deal. Like, we don't know behind closed doors. Like, they might have offered him, 50% less than anybody else would offer. Like, who knows? But for him to come out and say that, I mean, hopefully he's telling the truth. You like to think that, but it's all a scheme anyway. Maybe he didn't want to be there, the whole bit there. But it's, yeah, I mean, now the Yankees have at least team control of him this year. I mean, if he has a good year, I wouldn't be surprised they bring him back. The Yankees, of all teams, I mean, there's a couple others out there, like the Brewers, for example. They can build a bullpen with, like, they can just find guys. Like, Brian Cashman finds guys. The Brewers find guys. So, I mean, I understand it from the Brewers' perspective, as well as, you want to get something for him before he walks. The last thing you want is an Ohtani situation where the Angels get nothing and then are just stuck. But
there is that.
they constantly do this, and I don't know. It's kind of like a Tampa Bay Rays situation. Like, you're just finding guys. And, I mean, to the Brewers' credit, they've done it, but they still haven't done it enough. Like, how do you compete with the Dodgers, the Mets? How do you compete with these Goliath, even the Phillies in the NL? Like, there's a lot of teams that just have those guys, and you have, like, these type of guys. Like, it's just, you're a peg down from all that.
Yeah, and that's like the thing with this trade. Like, basically, you went Nester Cortez for Williams. Are you a better team? No, you're not. No. Nester Cortez is Nester Cortez. Is he going to get you 20 wins? No. Is like, and I mean, no, that wins don't count anymore for starting pitchers, and I get that they're innings eaters. Is Cortez going to throw more innings? Yeah, because he's a starter and not a closer, and so there is that. But I don't know. I think there's a million, not a million, but there's 1,000 Nester Cortezes out there that are coming out of college that you can pay less. And you need that guy in the back end because bullpens win championships. Bullpens get you there. And for them to give up, I think and this goes back, like you said, like you can't compete. And how do you compete against the Dodgers? How do you compete against the Yankees, the Mets, the Phillies? Well, you try. They have money. Like, there's no way you have a franchise that I don't know what the Milwaukee Brewers ownership, what they do for the rest of for their income, but they probably have a couple of bucks. And so if you just give up every year, then why even compete? Why even have a team? Move them with the Oakland A's, share a stadium in Sacramento. Screw it. Like, if you're just going to give up year in, year out and then complain, and then, because wasn't it just this week that they signed a 20-year deal with whatever that county is to help pay for the renovation of the stadium? Yeah,
they're signed through 2050 at their field there. I think it's AmFam Field.
American Family Clam, whatever. Yeah, AmFam Clam, something. But it's so they're getting subsidized by the government. They're like on and on it goes. So they have money, and just give up year in, year out. It's got to be tough to be a Brewers fan saying, "Well, we were close, and then we had this guy, and he's really good, and now we have Nester Cortez." Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
I give them credit. It's almost like they maximize what they have, but it's never enough what they do have. Like, it's just like they string together a starting pitching. Like, at the beginning of the year, we did kind of like a prediction thing with a couple guys I get on here with, and like two of us picked the Cubs to win that division. I mean, just based on roster and just how you think the team's going to play. And then you look at the Brewers, and somehow they rattle off. I mean, I know the division's not that good at all, but, over 90 wins again. It's like, you look at the rotation, you're like, how the hell did they even manage to do this? But it's kind of like the Orioles, for example, who, the farm system's been built up so well, but now they have Corbin Burns sitting there like, he pitched lights out for you last year. He's still fairly young, and, you're probably not going to re-sign him. It's like you have a crown jewel in your organization already. He was already there. Like, I know it sucks to pay these guys. Like, no one wants to pay these guys, an astronomical amount of money unless you have, Yankee money, Dodger money, and stuff like that. But they all, like you said, they all have money. And and it's not like you're giving them $250 million a year. You're giving them 30, 40 million a year, sure, which is a shit ton of money. Don't get me wrong, but you're making that back. Like, you're easily making it back. And I just, if you're the Orioles, like, I look at that situation where, the Red Sox are rumored to be in with the Corbin Burns thing, and the Dodgers, like the Mets. It's like, here's your chance to just say, okay, and here's your chance to say to the fan base, we're taking this seriously. Because if you let him go and you try and replace him with a bunch of younger guys, you're not getting Corbin Burns under 3
years. You don't know what you're getting.
Yeah. You don't even know what you're getting at best. At best, you don't know what you're getting.
Prospects are cool, but championships are cooler. You don't know what you're getting from some kid. You have no idea. You have they have their guys who check their arms and whatever it might be, but you don't know. When you have a known commodity, why get rid of him until, like, here's your contract, here's what it is, keep him. Like, I know you don't want to lose a guy, but if like Ohtani was that's an outlier. Like, he was never staying with the Angels because the Angels stink. But so that's a complete outlier. Like, if you have an opportunity to win, like, how much does one home playoff game get you? Like, how much money? It's got to be in the millions for one game. Tickets and beer and hot dogs and whatever.
Just the merchandise. You're in the playoff. Like, you got the AL, playoffs, whatever. Like,
that people buy for whatever reason. And if they don't sell, they end up in Guatemala. Like, some kids wearing it for whatever. But it's I don't understand. Like, if you don't try and then claim that you're poor and then claim that, well, how do we compete? Well, you have the pieces. You have the same chances to get the same pieces everybody else does. Like you might not get them at free agency, but when you draft and develop these kids and you have them for a certain amount of time, utilize them. Don't just go, well, we're not going to trade. We're not going to be able to sign. Let's just get rid of them. We tried. But you didn't try. Because you never save money saving money ever. Like, you got to go out and spend a little bit, and you got to figure a way to do it. Yeah. And for these small markets, I get it. Like, I totally understand it. But it's a player, right? It's go out and get it. Go out and get the guy and figure a way to get it done, because it's and hold on to guys, because if you just keep trading guys away, what are you giving your fan base? And then you get pissed off at your fan base. So it took me until 8:29 a.m. on Saturday to swear, but if that's not a swear word anymore, but to just give up on your team, I just, and then to cry, we can't. I don't think it's a can't thing. It's a won't thing with these guys. I really like, why not go the other way around and say, okay, well, we have this guy for one more year. Let's go add a couple pieces instead of subtracting.
Yeah, I mean, and make the plunge while you can. Like the Orioles, there's teams out there that, like, their farm system isn't going to be. I mean, yeah, you want to think it's going to be good forever, but you don't know. It can change, and then you hold on to these prospects, and just because the farm system's good, you bring them up to the major leagues, and they're deer in headlights, and they can't figure it out, and it's so. Yeah, I mean, you got to capitalize. Like, I look at the Orioles as a perfect example of that. Like, You've now, you've scratched the surface. You haven't won a playoff game. You got swept both times you go to the AL, wild card round there. Well, the year before the divisional round, and get swept in both situations. So you almost backtrack this year, losing the division to the Yankees. Like I said, you have Corbin Burns right there. I mean, he's the number one on pretty much any team.
Any team.
Yeah. Like, outside of, teams that already have like a,
there's a 1, he'd be a 1A.
Right. Yeah. And I don't know, that is like a golden opportunity for them to capital. I know, you don't want to give a pitcher a long-term deal just because, God knows what they'll be when 35, 36, 37. But yeah, you got to take a chance. And like, with new ownership, I look for the Orioles to do that type of thing, but we don't know. That's the thing. We don't know where their head really is. They can say all the right things and do, operate a certain way. But then when it comes down to spending money, who's going to push their chips to the middle of the table? That's the thing.
And like, you talk about the Yankees, and you think, like, after the 2009 World Series, and then their championship window closed, and then they kept Jeter around for probably too long, and they kept Mariano around, and on it goes, and they weren't winning anything for a few years there. But when they saw a small window there in 2017, when Judge first came up, and like, hey, we got a pretty good club here. Let's add some pieces. And now people are complaining the Yankees are out there spending blah, 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 again. They're all mad and everything else, and still hasn't worked. But the thing is that they're in a championship window right now with that same Aaron Judge 7-8 years later. They have to spend. Like, if you're spending $40 million on one guy, and then you're spending 38 on this guy and this, you have to add pieces, because otherwise you're just spending $40 million to spend $40 million. Like, you have to add these pieces, because their championship window is closing, and it's crappy to say, and they probably overpaid for Fried at his age. When it's all said and done, he'll be 52, I think. Like, but you kind of have to if you're going to compete, do it, and you have to add pieces. And because like I said, if you're just spending $36 million to have Garrett Cole on your team, and then not put anybody around him, well, what's the point?
Yeah, you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out on the entire franchise. Like, I totally agree with you. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying you can buy a championship when you don't try to make an effort. It's obvious. You're the Pittsburgh Pirates. You're the Diamondbacks. You're these teams that they don't even attempt to like, really. I mean, the Diamondbacks have kind of gotten some guys through their system that have made things better, but it's not like they're going out and landing even Cody Bellinger, like we talk about the Yankees there. Like, I mean, that's kind of been written on the wall for a couple of years. I think that Cody Bellinger wanted to go to the Yankees, the Cubs get him and this and that. Now they go out and get him. Did you like that move? And do you think that'll be effective? I mean, a guy pops home, like, he has the ability to hit home runs. He's kind of been inconsistent the last couple of years after basically he was one of the best hitters in baseball there for a little bit.
And that's the thing, he was, right? And I don't know how much upside he has left. I hope he proves me wrong, because he was an MVP and everything else, and he's won in places. I think he's a really good player. I don't think he's a great player. He could get hot, but I also think he's on the downhill slope of his career. Like, I don't know how much you're going to get out of him, and if you can get 1 year out of him or 2 years out of him, great. But I just don't know if he's the he helps. I'm not gonna say no, we don't want him, because it's a spendy. He's not cheap, but he's really good. But how long is he going to be good? And like he said, like he's so hot and cold, and I think it just his half baked looked all the time kind of scared me. I don't know what's going to happen there, but it's he's a really good player. Like, he's a really good player, but you just don't know for how long. If you can keep him healthy and you can get 130 games out of the guy, why not? Like, it can't hurt. Like, it can't hurt.
I mean, even if he gives you, like, in today's world, which is, how baseball's changed with the batting averages and stuff, but if he would give you 260, 275 with 25 to 30 home runs, like, I would take that. You know what I mean? It's hard to
Juan Soto numbers.
What's that?
So Juan Soto numbers for a third of the price.
Yeah, I mean, damn. I mean, he did hit like 40 last year, but I think that's. I mean, but to that point, I think Bellingier's a lefty. Like, that's
short shot. That'll be good. Like, it's going to help the Yankees. Like, they're a better team with him than without him.
Right,
like,
and I think, and I almost think Soto's numbers are inflated because of that short port. So, like, I will die on that hill. I mean, we'll see this coming year. That'll be the test for him, but Citi Field is not Yankee Stadium. Like, that is far from a hitter's park. Like, that's like a pitcher's park, if anything. So,
and having big number 99 hitting beside you, that helps your batting average a little bit too.
Yeah, and kind of switching over to the Mets there. I mean, if you're the Mets, I think as much as Pete Alonso might have his deficiencies, I think you want to keep. Unless you go out, I don't know any other power bat other than Goldschmidt still out there. I mean, they can play first. So if I'm the Mets, I'm probably thinking, you know what? Let's just bring Pete back. He hits you 30 to 40 home runs every year. Like, even if his average sucks, this past season, like, I mean, then you have a little bit more protection for Soto there. Like, there's not really another guy in that lineup that, I mean, yeah, Lindor hits home runs, but he's not, like, known to be a power threat. Like, Pete Alonso is at any point can hit a 3-run home run. It's just one of those guys. So
it's funny, like, this Soto thing. It's the gift that keeps on giving for podcasters, because you can just keep talking about it. Like, and I was talking to some baseball guys again yesterday about this, and everyone's like, "What the hell happened here? Like, why did it get to that price?" Like, and nobody has an answer. Like, it's just like he's not even the best in his division. Like Acuna Jr., like it's nobody knows why or how come. It's just, this is what it is. And when the signing came about, and they had his press conference, I think it was this week, I wasn't surprised that nobody in the Yankees had talked to Juan Soto since that World Series game. It wasn't a shock to me, to anybody. The guy's he's a me guy, and we talked about it before. There's a reason why he's on his fourth team in how many years. Right, it's not a shock. Like, I think there's going to be. This is easy podcast BS. Throw some crap on the wall, something on the stick. But I think there's going to be buyer's remorse in about 3 years with this guy. Like, that's a lot of dough for not much return. Like, the Yankees were because they didn't sign Soto, they were able to make these deals. They were able to sign Fried, and that's I think that's more important for a guy. And I mean, overpaid. We talked about it before, but the thing is, I have a hard time giving a guy that much money who has a chance to affect the game once every 3 innings. That hits, and so he gets one hit sometimes every 9 innings. That's it, maybe 2. So how, like, what's that worth? Is it worth $51 million? Not a chance. A pitcher, at least you're going to get. He's good for X amount of outs a game. There's some bang for the buck there. For a guy to go get 2 hits in 9 innings, think about that, and give him $51 million. I don't know.
I think it would be different if he played a Gold Glove right field, but he doesn't. That's where I don't know. It's not like we're talking about Ken Griffey Jr. Like it's just not a guy that I don't know. He's to me he's a I mean, you saw it last year. I think he's a liability almost in right field. Like he never impressed me in the field. Like guy can hit, the guy can rake, but yeah, I think it's ridiculous. I mean, I do. I think these contracts. I mean, it's every sport, right? How many times have we talked about the quarterbacks where it's just like Justin Herbert? What has he done? And with Trevor Lawrence, what has he done? None of these guys have done anything. Like, you look like you can play, but okay, almost everybody does. Like, yeah, it's just I don't know. Like, and now they're talking about your guy, the Red Rocket there, Sam Darnold, getting paid 40, 50 sheets, and I'm like, dude, he had one good year. One and who's to say he doesn't shit the bed in the playoffs? Like I just
tomorrow, like it could, like it's just I don't know, and that's why I like these owners when they cry broke, and I don't think NFL owners do as much, but when they they must because they move their team from here to here to here to here, whatever, done deal. So they're the same way, and like we aren't winning, we got to do something. Well, that's your fault. You can keep giving these guys, and I'm all for athletes making money and everything else, but man, oh man, the only reason, like we've talked before, about salary cap and things like that, it's just to protect owners from themselves. It's not to stop players from making money, right? It's to protect the owners against the owners. Like if there wasn't one in hockey, there would be guys making how much, and they'll all be playing for the Rangers. Every one of them be playing for the Rangers, right? It's just here it is. Because you can only make max, not max, but like just the way salary cap works, you can make probably 13, 14 million bucks so you can fill in the rest of your roster. If there was no salary cap, there would be 20 guys playing for the Rangers making 40 million bucks a year. Right? Yeah. And what's that going to do? What's that going to do you? No, it's just to protect these owners. It drives a guy nuts. Like it really does. And then like what I said, like when they start crying foul and like the guy out in Oakland, he's moving his team and still doesn't have a stadium or a plan and might end up back in Oakland anyways. It's laughable. Like it's actually laughable.
Yeah. And it's so, I think it's so mishandled too. Like I'm not saying that they need to do like, I'm sure, becoming a sports franchise owner isn't like, I mean, it might be as easy as saying, I have this much money, I want to buy it. Like, I don't know if baseball does I think they need to get people that want to, they can say what they want. So I guess it's a hard process. But what I'm trying to get to is, they need guys that want to win. Like you like the Pirates owner. He doesn't care if he's printing money, he's printing money. It's just, that's the way it is. They built a beautiful stadium there for him. And it's like, they don't even put a winning. Like, when's the last time they were a threat, in the NL? It just doesn't like they found a couple miracle years, like 10 years ago. And still they didn't even sniff a World Series out of it. And like now, how long are they stuck like this? I mean, they get Paul Skeens. Great. You have a great young pitcher. Guy's like he could win a Cy Young early in his career if he stays like this. But what's it matter if you can't, like, there's so many examples.
It'll be the same thing 3 years down the road when he's up for renewal or arbitration or whatever it might be. See ya. Right?
Yep.
Oh, we can't afford him. Well, whose fault is that? You could afford him if you put a winning. And that's the thing about being, like I was going to say this earlier, that's the thing about, like, if you go to a Yankee game, it's more expensive. It is. Like, if you go to compared to going to an A's game, right? It's just, but if your owner is actually putting in an attempt to win and giving your team a chance to make the playoffs and do some damage and go to the World Series, you don't mind spending that extra $10 here and there. I mean, it's ridiculous spending $22 for a beer, but that's another story for another day. But like, if your ticket's a little more expensive because we have all these guys and you have a chance to win, and we get 95 wins, and we got a chance. You don't mind spending that extra dough. But when your team's not even trying to win, like you said in Pittsburgh, I don't even want to spend the $12 to get in, because what's the point? Like nobody very often, unless you're a complete baseball dork, and nobody really goes to a game to watch their team lose. Not very often.
Yeah.
And like there's guys who just go because they love the game, and it's with any sport. But in general, like if your team stinks, they stink. Like even in football, you look at some of those college football stadiums with Eastern Kentucky or whoever, you would just pick a team. There's no one there because they stink. And that's football. And football's huge. It's massive. But when your team stinks, it stinks, and no one goes. So you have to try and compete and be great. And these owners, and it's now going to college football too. We'll probably talk about that, but how it's just, you got to try and compete on a yearly basis, and you got to find ways with the portal and NIL money and everything. You got to compete, or else you get left behind. And you got to find ways to do it. You have to, because the money that these teams generate in pro sports and in college, it's out there. People are willing to spend it. Right. And the TV deals and everything else, it's out there. So why not try to make more money and capitalize on the investment that you have? I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, you guys, like you said, you got to spend money to make money. And I think some of these owners just expect, I don't even know if they expect it. Did the A's owner there expect, people to show up regardless of the product? I don't think he did at some point, unless he's just completely delusional. Like,
no, he wanted it to be empty so he could say, look,
yeah.
I have you have to let me move. And
right.
And the other owners said, yeah, you're right. You have to move, because now they can do it too. Right. Because now something goes sideways, because if the other owners would have voted him against him that move, then they would have been stuck too. So the second that the tenant starts leaking a little bit, the second they want a new building, the second that it's not going so well for them, and they're not making $300 million a year, they can say, yeah, we got to move to Nebraska or wherever. We got a deal in place over here. We don't have a building yet, but we have a deal in terms that we can move. So now the owners, every single owner at any time, can move whenever they want.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like now the way you put that is, it's almost like pure sabotage. Like, we're gonna sabotage our franchise to the point where people don't show up. Like, our building, like you said, the building's breaking down, it's leaking, it's field sucks. Like, we're not doing any, like, there's no concerts going on. Like, you're completely just, erating a franchise to the point where it's like, okay, now this is what we are. And we have accepted that. And like you said, the other owner, I think the Padres owner that passed away, he was like the only one that kind of stood up and said, you know what, we need to keep the A's in Oakland. And I mean, then he passed away. So that's just, I guess, bad timing. But it's one of those things, like, I mean, at the end of the day, you and I both know it's all about money. I mean, we're going to kind of get into college football then, which is couldn't be more about money at this point. But it's, it's a damn shame. I mean, we could have a whole episode of, to bring that guy on that is an A's fan. Like, just situations like this make you really think, well, you know what? It's not so much caring for the fans. It's, where do we capitalize? Where do we make the most money? Where's the margin better? Where, all that. It's just, it's sad when you rip a franchise out of a place that was there for 50 plus years, and then and then the owner. It's almost, the owners are so out of touch too. Like, I'm not saying all of them are, but like Steve Cohen even is, like, the money he has. I'm sure he's not thinking late at night, what are the fans that, like, that doesn't even cross his mind. It's, I'm going to buy a fucking championship by any means, because I'm a Mets fan. I'm a Mets fan,
and I can do it.
Yeah.
Like, I have the resources to do it. And I don't blame the guy. Right?
No, I don't blame. No, I'm not. That doesn't make him a bad guy.
If I had $14 billion in the bank, I'd probably go buy myself a franchise too and see what I could do with it. But and that's what's wrong with sports. It's like, because you can do it. And for, get back to, like, we all started with the Brewers, for them to be trading off their best pieces every year, like, what's that telling the fan base? Like, to not even attempt to, because if you win, you put more butts in the seats, and that's simple.
And
that's simple.
And they've kind of proven they can tread, like, the thing with them is, like, they don't really go high, they don't go low, they just kind of stay right where they are. So I guess their argument is,
it works for them, right?
We're going to keep retooling it. We're going to send
We're a player away. If that guy wouldn't have left, but he did leave. That's the thing. He did leave.
Exactly.
So why not? I don't know.
I mean, there's so many ways to look at it. I guess I can look at it like, well, at least they're well run, right? Because like the A's, they had Matt Chapman, they had Barry Zito. I mean, the list goes on and on.
On and on it goes.
Right. Nomar Garciaparra. Like there's just guys out there, but they don't. They're the opposite of the Brewers. They find guys, like they draft guys. They can produce guys through the system, this and that. They develop them, but the second they get eligible to get out of there, they get out of there. Then it's rare they replenish. Like you'll see 5-10 years of just mediocrity, and then like the Brewers have kind of the last 5-6 years. Okay, we're going to stay exactly. So I mean, there's credit to the organization, but then it almost all lies on the owner's shoulders at that point, because you've proven the GM can draft, you've proven that the farm system can develop. Now the only missing link is we're not going to spend, even if a team like that, the Brewers, the Orioles, if they spent another $50 million, who's to say they can't win? Like I'm not saying they have to spend Met money, but they might develop players better than the Mets. They might bring farm system guys through the process better than the Mets, but it doesn't matter because you're not making that one extra. You're 3/4 of the way to the finish line, and then that's it. That's all you got.
And you think about it, $50 million. I mean, it's a lot, obviously, but in the world of professional baseball, it's 3 players. It's and not even 3 great players.
2
it's
sometimes.
3 really good players.
Yeah.
Right. So why not? And they could, over a course of 81 home dates. Yeah, your profit margins might be a little bit slimmer, but you get those playoff games, man. And that's the thing. Another thing, I don't know if we talked about this because we talked about a lot of stuff that makes sense, but if you win a World Series, that gives you 10 years where you don't have to do anything else, right? If you can pull one off and good, you're going to be you're okay. Like your manager's going to be good for another probably 4 at least. Your GM's probably good for 5 or 6, and you're going to be loved for a long time. Like you can sell T-shirts 10 years later. We're the 2024 World Series champions, right? And it's that gives you such a long leash to your fan base. Look at the Cubs. That Theo Epstein he's a legend forever.
Absolutely, yeah. Oh, especially on a team like that. Yeah, I mean, now getting back to the Brewers, they have never won a World Series. You get into a team like the Cleveland Guardians. Like if you win a World Series there, you're forever royalty, forever.
They're naming schools after you.
I mean, even the Yankees had that. Okay, yeah, they won a championship every year, but at least I think that gave them 5 years after 2009. I mean, I don't think people were like, we need to win. Like maybe after 3.
Oh, we got it. We're good.
Yeah, it gives you a buffer zone, and especially like teams like the Orioles that haven't won since the 80s, the Phillies, like, the Phillies won it sooner than that, but teams that aren't like the Reds. If the Reds made them, just teams like that haven't even sniffed it in so long that, yeah, I'm with you. It's I don't know. I'd love to see what the operating revenue of like the Cincinnati Reds is. I'd love, actually, after everything's paid, the building, all that. I'd love to see what these and if it's a gross number, then you got to blame your owner. At some point,
what are they bringing in from their TV deals? What are they bringing in from the MLB app? Blah blah blah. All the revenue sharing and everything else. That goes
merchandise, parking. It goes and goes and goes and goes.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, when you think about it, like the Jeter's first World Series with the Yankees was 28 years ago. 28. It's a long time. He's been retired for 10, and he's still a legend, right? And there's people who aren't 28 years old who are going to Yankee Stadium putting on freaking the Jeter jerseys and the whole bit, right? They weren't even alive. They didn't even see him in his heyday. No, and that's not just Jeter. That's all of them. You win a World Series, that gives you, because then you win 4, so that gives you how many years? And then they won in 2009. He was done in 2014. And he's still a legend, right? Jeter's off, but like Bernie Williams or whoever it might be. All these guys and win. And if you win, it takes care of a lot of problems.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, and when you were talking about that, it kind of put a light bulb on in my head that, think about that too, like, Jeter, because I'm 28 years old. So it's like, now I can think like there's how many teams, there's so many teams off the top of my head, like the Reds, the Pirates, they haven't even won a World Series in that amount of time. Like
in your lifetime.
Yeah.
And the Reds won in 1990. Yeah. 1990. I think they beat the A's.
Like, and the list goes on and on. Like the Blue Jays haven't won one. Maybe I don't know. Yeah, still before I was thinking. I know they won in the 90s and beat
92 and 93. They won back to back. Yeah,
but like
that's a long time.
And they spend a lot of, like, I'm not saying it's like, you talk about all the time, winning is hard, but like, you can't find one in there. Like, I don't know. Because you see some teams do it. Like, I mean, the Texas Rangers are a perfect example of that. Like, they didn't win for a while, and they didn't even have that. I mean, they had great pitching, but like, I truly believe if you or I could, run the Texas Rangers that offseason, we could probably do, like, I don't think it's rocket science. Like, you're looking at the stats, you're looking at who's good, who's not 50 years old, and like, if you can go get them, go get. Like, they went and got Evaldi was on that team. That guy that went to the Diamondbacks, can't remember his name now, but Montgomery. Like, there's a bunch of guys that, like, if you can go get, like, if they didn't go get those guys at the deadline, they went and got 2 or 3 guys. We might, maybe they didn't
pieces. Give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance.
They were a perfect example of, we're on the cusp. Like, we're a good team. We might even be a great team, but we're on the cusp of being a World Series team. And they saw that window, and they fell off now, but they got it. They found it. They made it happen. They got the World Series. Like, it's just, and it doesn't always work out that way. I get it. But when you don't, like, I guess the whole thing we've been talking about here for 40 minutes is, like, if you don't try, then how do you ever know? You'll never know.
You'll never know. Like, I don't know. Just to give up, we can't. Well, then don't. Then don't.
Then don't at all. Yeah.
Then don't charge admission for tickets. Let us come for free. If that's how it's going to be, everything's just free. Roll in. Done deal. Yeah, I don't know. It's
mind-boggling. It really, especially like those teams, like the Brewers, like the teams that have a chance. Like, we're not talking about the Marlins or the White Sox. Like, we're talking about teams that actually, they're there. They're at the party. It's just they don't have a drink. They don't have it. They're there, but they don't participate. Like, it's like, why? Yeah. What's is it?
Why
really
not just stay home on a Friday night then?
Yeah.
I don't know. It makes zero sense to me.
If you're close, go for it. Is what
you have to, because you don't know you can go get back there again.
Yeah. Look at all these, the Reds, the Blue Jays. How many teams we talk about that haven't won it? Like, in 30 years, they haven't won it. It's like, if you're close, why not? Go then. Know when to go and go. But kind of switching gears to the college football. I mean, you older than I am, obviously. This goes without saying.
A couple weeks, anyways. Yeah.
How do you feel? I mean, we can get into the portal stuff and stuff like that, but this college football playoff. I mean, I know you're a college football fan, as am I. But do you like the setup? Do you miss the old way already? Now there's rumors they're going to go to 16 teams eventually. Like, what do you think of this whole makeup of the situation?
I don't like it. I think it's just things get lost in the shuffle. Games get lost. Like, for some unknown reason, there was a college football playoff game last night on a Friday night, right before Christmas, and then there's 3 more games today, right before Christmas. People are busy. I got things going on. Everybody's got things going on. And as long as there's money, once again, they're going to keep adding teams because the networks will pay for it. People are dumb enough to go and watch these games. Mm-hmm. And unless there's an upset today, which I don't think there's going to be. I shouldn't say I don't think there's going to be. I think actually this might be Ohio State, what's his name, Day. I think this might be his last day coaching for the Ohio State Buckeyes. I think that's the thing. I think Monday morning might have a kind of a ugly present underneath his Christmas tree, but it's. I don't like it. Because now we'll get into the portal thing. I don't like it for the simple fact that now it's just you're not going to see the best team win. I don't think you're going to see the team that perseveres win. Like, it's more of an NFL thing. Like, the team that can stay healthy, the team that can piece this and that together, and maybe catch lightning in a ball. That's just going to win. I like the one game winner take all mentality. Put it all on the table, go for it, like all those cliches. But with all these extra games, now you're just having extra games for the sake of having games. And it's going to, like, if Notre Dame wins last night, it wasn't a 27-17. It could have been a blowout. They probably put some fourth liners in there to finish that one off. But if a guy gets hurt, then what? Right? If this guy gets hurt, then what? And so now it's a longevity thing compared to should the best team win. Like, we don't even know if the best teams are even involved in this thing, right? Like, I don't know. It's just I don't like it. I think it's just too much. Like, more football isn't better football. More hockey isn't better hockey. More baseball isn't better baseball, right? And I like a one-game winner take all, which you're not having anymore. If you start adding more teams, some team just might get lucky and stay healthier. I don't know. I just think it's and now like how, and I don't think that when they put this together that by they I mean the NCAA or whoever runs college football. I don't think the NCAA has anything to do with it anymore. But I don't think that they had any idea what the portal was going to be like, NIL money is going to be like. So now I don't know. It's going to get ugly before it gets any better.
Yeah, no, I certainly do agree. I sort of like the I don't know if it's the format. I mean, I like that they're doing a more than a 14 playoff. I just thought it was, I don't know. I thought there's arguments to be made. This team should get in. That team should get in. I think they should keep it right here, though, is where I'm kind of sitting right. Like, I don't want it to be any bigger than this. I think 12, that's the right amount, like no more than 12. You could argue 10 even, but it's, I don't know. I like that they expanded it. It makes it like a little more interesting. I think the timing of it I don't know why they didn't start a week before. And now, the transfer portal stuff's going on, like, because Penn State's backup quarterback transferred, or he entered the transfer portal on like Wednesday or Thursday. So now if they had to go to him in a playoff game, he's out the building. Like, it's the timing of it sucks. Like, now you're going to see kid, oh, where's that kid? Oh, he transferred. Like, it's a mess. It's a wild, wild west. And in college football, like I said, I don't have a problem with the format of it. I do kind of like it, but what they're doing, what they're like, they're going to make so much money off of this. Like, this is because before, you have basically 4 games or whatever it was, 2 games or whatever it was. And then 2 games in the national championship. And it was like over and like, boom, it was over and done with. And they always had it on a Monday night too. I don't know. It might still sit on a Monday night this year, but I think that's stupid. I don't understand that whatsoever. I know you're not
Saturdays all year long. Why change it?
Exactly. I know you're not trying to compete with the NFL on a Sunday. I understand that. Even the national championship, don't put it up against the NFL. I understand that. But yeah, why change your formula now? And why? And a Monday night, like, people are getting off work. People are still working. It's just that's like when the World Series, they put it on the nights like that. It's, like, I get it. It's 7 games. It's different. But yeah, I don't know if you got into any of the transfer portal stuff as far as, like, how do you feel about that now? It's like somebody's unhappy, they're out the door. Like, I don't.
I hate it. Like, I'm maybe it's just if you're not good enough, get better. If you're not playing, get better. Like, if you signed up for this, it's not like you didn't know that there was a guy in front of you, right? It's not like you thought you were going to surpass the guy that's going to win a Heisman or going to, he's their QB1 or whatever. Get better. And if somebody comes up behind you and is better than you, get better. Just because you're not getting the playing time you think you deserve, you don't deserve anything. You have to work for it. And like we were talking when the show first started, I don't think these kids understand how tough life is. When it's just here you go. Oh, I don't like this. I'm going to go start. So now Dad will go start his own team. I see it all the time with travel baseball and travel sports and everything else. They don't like it here. They just go to the next town over. They start a new team, and that's what college sports is now. I don't like it here. I'm leaving. All right, well, go. Like, what makes you think that you're going to if you couldn't, like the USC starter this year? I can't remember his name off the top of my head for whatever reason, but he's entering transfer portal because he sucked. So that's USC's fault. Like, and what school? Like, in my mind, what school in their right mind would take a kid who quit on his teammates 2 months before? Why would you entertain that?
I'm not telling you you're wrong. I just think it's now it's a mindset shift on that, because it's like the Cubs with Cody Bellinger, right? Okay, we're gonna let him go. We're gonna get him off to the Yankees. This is beneficial for us. Like, yeah. It's kind of like that, but it's more individualistic because if Brent's playing for Michigan, right, and he's the third quarterback, and he gets word that if he goes to West Virginia, he can be the starting quarterback. Like I don't blame the kids for doing it. I think the institution has created this. I just college was where loyalty was always talked about, and tradition and this and that. And now you're turning it into a professional sports league, even though it's still the amateur level. Like I get it from some, like as a player, it's player friendly thing for sure. Like it's like there's guys getting breaks out of it. There's guys that are going to end up in the NFL because of this. Like if they didn't have this, you might never hear of them again. Which I mean, I don't know if that's good or bad. But I get it. I think there has to be some regulation behind it. I don't know if there's any right now. I think there's kids that are sophomores that are going into the transfer portal after playing 1 year. I don't know about that. I don't know. They're definitely changing everything about it. And like soon we won't have a Pac-12, like there's 2 teams in the Pac-12 or whatever. Things are like, I think they smelled the money when they started doing all this, and they thought about how it was going to work after. Like they tried to put it together and make it work, but it's just,
they had a beginning, they had an A and a Z, but they forgot to fill in the middle.
Yeah.
Right. They forgot the other 24 letters. And it's now what? And they're finding out, and like this, and for years these schools were making how much money off of these kids, and you get a scholarship, but there's a lot of guys who there's a reason why Reggie got a house and everything. A lot of these guys weren't making anything, and it was tough. And you only get X amount of meals a day or a week, and books and things and stuff, and there's not and people. When they say this guy got a scholarship, well, it's usually a percentage. It's not a full. There's not very many full scholarships that get handed out, right? So there's a lot of money that gets that the parents are putting out there. And now that these kids can, maybe parlay it into a few bucks, you can't blame them. Like you think of all the money that you put 110,000 people in Happy Valley, right? Or 100 and some thousand in Michigan, or 98,000 in the Coliseum when the USC used to be good. There's a lot of money going somewhere. So now these kids are getting a little bit on their own. Why not? How they're going about doing it, they got to fix it, because it's going to be, and it already is a little bit, but it's going to be a lot more of the have and have nots in college football, especially because the money's so big. Like college baseball has it like down the SEC. It's huge, obviously, like Big Ten and Pac whatever, if there even exists anymore. College baseball nobody watches. So the SEC always has a chance to win college baseball now, and because the how much money there is with these donors and NIL money and transfers, and it's I don't know. Like I get it, and you kids get a chance to play, but I'm also on the other thing. If you just be better. If you want to play, just be better. And that's pretty blind and easy for me to say, but if you're not good enough, but like you said, which kind of opened my ears and eyes a little bit, this kid maybe was a late bloomer, and if he gets stuck behind some guy because he's just there, because these old school football coaches don't give a guy a chance, it's so that you might never get to see him play, and that's a tough thing, right? Like I don't know, it's got to be regulated a little bit, and like your guy at Penn State for not like why couldn't they just? To me, it's so simple. Why didn't they just make a rule that said if you are in the college football player, you can delay entering the portal until you're done?
Yeah,
I understand January classes start, so he has to be in class, and then whatever, and who cares? Figure that out. Like figure it out.
You could figure that out. Yeah, absolutely.
There's got to be a way. Yeah. I mean, I'm enrolled in Northwestern Pennsylvania State University, whatever, and I'm taking classes, but I'm still playing here for maybe a week. We're talking a week. Right? It might be a week that this kid could still be a Penn State Nittany Lion. Like what's it hurting? If it's at maximum 3 weeks, max 3 weeks more. No, we can't do that. Why? Because you didn't try. Right? They didn't even try to come up with a solution. This is what it is. They're stupid. Like they look so. And the NCAA has been this for forever. As long as they look so dumb all the time. They trip on their dinks all the time when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, why not have solutions to the problem before it becomes a problem? It's not like the NCAA doesn't have a band of lawyers bigger than this quarterback's parents do, right? Like, why not figure this out and have solutions before it becomes a problem? I don't get it. Like, how it gets to this point all the time with the NCAA. It's odd to me.
Yeah, it absolutely, and like you said, it's like it's pieced together and not thought about. It's just thrown together. It's completely thrown together, and then now you have to have, like, I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to get your comments on the Indiana coach on what he said. Just kind of different thing, but now if you're a head coach though, I mean, I almost think you're going to see some college guys like that love the college game going to the NFL, because now you got to worry about the NIL, you got to worry about the transfer portal, you got to worry about, like, if you're Penn State, if you're Oregon, one of these teams, now who's going out the back door? Oh, we got to recruit. Like, how do you keep up with all this shit and prepare for a game and travel? And like, it's just, I don't know how they have enough. Like, you got to have 1 million people on your staff just to, be able to handle all this, because as soon as you turn turn a blind eye to the portal or whatever, up there, that guy's gone. It's like, and now it's right before, like you said, it makes no sense right before a college football playoff game. What if, God forbid, their starting quarterback Aller goes down? Now we got some kid that's never even, played in a game.
I didn't even know his name. I didn't even know that kid's name until last week, right? Like, if you can have a coach having to coach in a big game today, that might not even know who his third or fourth string guy was.
Yep.
What's Billy? Is it Billy? I don't know.
I don't even know who's behind, like the kid that transferred out, Bo Papula. I don't know who's behind him. I think it might be Jackson Samoic, and that's only because I'm a Penn State nerd, and I know for a fact I've never seen him play a snap. He has never, not even in blowouts, I've never seen him play. I haven't. So
he probably hasn't.
He probably would be rattled. Like, he probably has no composure. Like, I mean, you never know, but the odds are completely against you. And the fact that, like, what if they went on to go, to the Final Four or whatever, and you need that guy, and you let him go to the transfer portal before? Like, why not let the playoffs conclude for all these teams, and then boom, then it opens up. Like, that makes. I get you want to get a fast start and coaching, recruiting. You're bringing in new coaches, this and that. You got, like, Wisconsin brought in a new offense coordinator. This team brought in this, that, and the third. But it's just, this shit is just unhinged. It's like
you wonder if this all happened 10 years ago, because college football used to be the coaches rule with an iron fist, and they could tell the players what to do. This, like, that's it. I say this, I say jump, you say how high, sir. And that's what college football, bing, bing, bing.
Yep.
You wonder if this was all going on 10 years ago when Nick Saban was rolling high at Alabama. If this transfer portal stuff, if he would have went, you know what, I'm out.
I think that's the reason he got out when he did. I'm good. Like, I've got this many championships. I got X amount of dollars in the bank, blah, blah, blah. Now I got to deal with Bobby's mom and Jake's dad, and then this kid leaving, and this where I used to be. It was hard enough before. I'm sure it was hard enough before. It was hard enough before, like, because you're dealing with kids. You're not dealing with, these aren't, I mean, different.
You could tell kids what to do. The kids weren't getting paid. And like coaching in the NFL, that's got to be tough, because you got a guy making 35, 40, 50 million bucks, and you can't bench him because the owner comes down on you. Like, when I'm a college coach, you sit over there and I will tell you when you're playing. You didn't do this right. You aren't playing. NFL, he's like, I have a contract. F you. Thanks. Yeah. Players don't get fired. Players go away in college. Well, they used to. In college sports, players used to just disappear. You'd never hear from them. How many greats do you know from around your town that, like, whatever happened to that guy? They went away because they probably didn't told the company line. Now the company line is the inmates are running the asylum. And to be, like you were trying to allude to, is the college coaches don't have that power anymore. They're like, I don't know which way's up half the time, right?
Yeah, it's too much that, like, it's just too much to be in control of, like, with just players going out. Because there's now, I looked into it a little bit last night. There's different transfer portal dates as far as when you can enter. Like, now, like, from, I think it's December 9th to the 28th or 20, something like that.
Yeah.
This is a kind of like an open enrollment. Like you're signing up for classes. Okay, this is a period where guys can walk out the back door. There's one in April. So it's like this is a constant like, okay, what's going to happen in a couple months? Like you almost got to prepare for this guy to leave, that guy. Like Penn State picked up a receiver from USC. Like, okay, what if the offensive coordinator recruited that guy for 3 months? Like I get it. You know, kids are going to go to the NFL, but this is now a different avenue of like you're spending so much time recruiting a kid.
So is there tampering now? Is Coach Prime calling whoever in Nebraska, come play for me?
Yeah, I'm sure there's that going.
Like is there scouts? Is this happening behind closed doors that wasn't allowed to happen before?
Yeah, they're probably going.
You were here.
There's probably guys from Michigan going to USC games with binoculars and watching.
So all these guys, are they basically? Is every college player now? This is actually good. Is every college player now? Are they just free agents? As soon as the season done, I'm a free agent. Call
I don't know.
1-800 Brent.
Yeah,
sign me up.
Yeah. You play for West Virginia this year. You play for Virginia next year. Like it's
because all of a sudden these NIL deals don't just pop out of a Shreddy's box, right?
Well,
this has to be like with this kid transferring. That deal's done. It's already done. So how much tampering's being done?
Oh,
like it's.
This
I never thought of that until now, man. Like,
yeah, this even opened the box more for tampering, I would think, and the fact that like I know Penn State, they don't have payroll for their players, which I'm astounded that as many players stay there as they do. I mean, I don't know if they're getting some. They got to be getting some type of perks. Like it might not be talked about or something, but
there's no way they aren't, Aaron. There's no way they aren't, because why would you stay?
Right? Why not go to even?
Why not go to somewhere in Texas where the second string linebacker is getting $40,000 a year? $40,000 a year for a college kid? Why not?
Texas A&M, who didn't have as good of a year as Penn State or Ohio State, like they weren't as good, but they're paying they're shoving money down their players' throat. And like if I'm playing at Penn State, if I'm a second stringer at Penn State, as much as I'm a Penn State homer or whatever, if I'm getting offers there and it's going to financially benefit me and I'm doing the same thing, like why would if you're allowing these players to make their own decisions, why wouldn't you leave? That's why I think there's definitely something going on, because I know Ohio State, everybody knows that it was talked about that they're making $20 million. Like their payroll is $20 million. Penn State doesn't have a payroll. Like they don't have their players. The difference there is I'm sure there's other programs, but there's their player. And now we'll talk about this, but there's the players from Penn State have to go out and find their own NIL. Like they have to go to Safeco Insurance or Geico, whatever. And then do you want to sponsor me? Like Ohio State's like, you're playing wide receiver, you're making $250,000. Like you walk in the door there.
They have donors giving money. Here it is. We'll deal it out.
Boom, sign, seal, deliver. You don't have to do anything other than play football to get your money. You don't have to go out and get a spot, make commercial. None of bullshit. It's money, right? Hand and fist. Like, and how are you going to compete with that if you're West Virginia or one of these like teams that aren't even like a Penn State of the world, like a USC of the world, where you're Virginia, you're West Virginia, you're North Carolina. How do you measure up to that? Because now your program's not as big to begin with, and now you're getting these players getting paid 5 times as much as, if you're lucky, your players are. It's so fucked up.
You'd be crazy to not, if you're a decent college football player who you kind of know if you're going the NFL or not. You have an idea probably in your first couple of years, but you're a decent guy, you're on a team. Okay, you know what? If I get a degree, and if I can put $50,000, let's say, in my jeans for my last 2-3 years of college every year, and that's a pretty low pay for some of these NIL guys. So if I get out of college with a degree and I got $100,000 in the bank to start off my life, easy that how much easier that would be than having to pay off student loans and blah blah blah. If you have that head start. Because a lot of these guys, they get jobs out of college because they were a college football player, right? So, and this guy might hire him here, but if I can walk out, and let's go to the upper end. If I can walk out of college with $2 million in the bank, why wouldn't you?
Yeah, we're telling Juan Soto like he's going to get as much money as he can, and now these kids that this is a golden age of. I mean. It's got to be kind of surreal if you're. let's say a kid at USC that, didn't make the NFL. Like you were a great college football player, but you had a deficiency in your game or whatever. And you didn't think, like, all the teams passed on you. You don't even get picked up and, undrafted or anything. And then you didn't make a penny playing there too. Like, you got to think I get it. It's life. Things change, but this is like a radical change. I mean, it's like, that sucks. You just or if you just came out of college and you didn't make right before all this shit started, then it's like, you almost feel like you were owed something. Like, it's like, I don't know.
It can trickle down. Like, now you see coaches, and that's why you have travel ball, travel sports, travel basketball, blah, 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 because now parents see this. Hey, my kid doesn't have to make it to the pros to make a couple $1 million, right? So now all this is the way it trickles right down from professional right down to little Billy's soccer team. Think about, like, it's the money that's available now that's never been available before to and quote air quotes. I don't do air quotes very often. To amateur athletes is astonishing. To amateur athletes, because that's what college football players are supposed to be. They're amateurs, not supposed to make a penny. And now what they're making, oh man, it's a game changer. And
I've always kind of towed the line where it comes to should the players get paid, should they not? I mean, you got to think though, just the ability to go to USC, Texas or whatever in Florida for free when you or I that didn't play college sports and we're paying $50,000 a year to go, like, that alone is that's a privilege though. These kids act like that's, oh well, I'm a good football player, so I should. It's just like, that's almost out of touch. It's like, come on, man. Like, do you not realize that other people are going into $250,000 in debt to go to this school, and you're walking, you're scot free. Like, I just.
And I'm making how much? Right.
Well, now, yeah, but even before then, it's like you had these colleges were making millions off them, but guess what? They were getting a free education. Like, that's a great privilege, though. I don't know. And Trajan and I were talking about this last night, and it's never going back now. I don't. There's no way you go back after this. Like,
they can't just say tomorrow, you know what? We have to get a handle on this. We're gonna stop this for a year. Well, you can't.
That would cause outrage. Yeah.
Hey, like, what? So I signed here to play for you, and now you're telling me, like, because what did the kid going to Michigan next year? Got $10 million a year. $10 million. Hasn't played a snap in college football.
That's a problem too, because now you're having like Dave Portnoy from Barstool. He's a Michigan jerk off, and he's dumping money into their program to go get these guys. So now you got all these, if I'm a fan of there's this guy Big Cat on Barstool who's a Wisconsin guy. He's like, all right, well, we're going to put Wisconsin on the map. I'm going to dump money. It's such a fucked up system now. Like, it's completely upside down.
How small is your dink if you need to give your college, your alma mater, $50 million to pat yourself on the back because your team just won a national championship? Way to go, dickhead. Like, who are you? Like, you look at like those high school football, like those old Friday Night Lights, when all those guys are shaking each other in the back and I did this. Dude, glory days are over, man. Like, if your team didn't win and you're just dumping money into it, and you could say, look what I did for my team. Fuck off. Like, it's ridiculous. To like that Barstool, Portnoy, whatever his name is, for him to brag about it, I'd laugh in his face. I said, what are you doing, man? Way to go.
You know what he'd say to us? Well, I have the money. You guys don't. You know how it is. It's just it's ruined the. And I'm not even gonna, because I said this to Trajan last night. I was like, college football was pure, and couldn't be more wrong. I couldn't be more wrong though, because it's always been tainted. It just wasn't like.
But we didn't know.
We didn't know, and it wasn't like, now it's in your face. Like, everything. Now we know it's. And the heavyweights are. It's going to turn into the MLB soon. It'll be like, oh well, Michigan has a Steve Cohen, dumping money into their program. So the Michigan's now the Mets. Good luck competing with the Mets if you're Texas Tech. Like, it's just so, I don't know. It pisses me off, because I'm such a college football through and through fan, and it's changed completely, flipped upside down.
Yeah, I mean, if I had time today, I would figure a way to see what the payrolls are for these remaining teams is.
Maybe we'll do that. I mean, if we get together again next week or something, we can.
Yeah, it'd be interesting.
We can dive into that because I know Oregon, for example. Oregon is, I mean, first of all, it's Phil Knight's school, the owner of Nike. So there you go. Here's money out the ass, and then they have I know they're paying their play. Like they have it very good. I'll put it that way. They have it, and they're the number one team in the nation. So
number one team in the country. So
is there a correlation? I mean,
so now every really good to great high school player is just getting letters or whatever. However the kids they get things in nowadays. I'm not going there. I'm not going there
immediately. Yeah,
they don't even care. I'm not going to these schools. I'm not.
If it's not Michigan, Oregon, Ohio State,
and then so now you have like the kids who would stay in their state and be proud of their state. They're like, man, I can make 10 sheets over here, not even play. Yep. I'm good.
Yep, I'll figure it out over there. I'll do it over there. Yep.
And then if it doesn't work, I'm just going to go over here. Like it's insane, man. Like can't blame them if it works. Someone offer me more money, I'd take it.
They opened the floodgates, and now they've and like we said, I mean, you talk about USC, they were giving their guy, but it wasn't. I get. That's where I kind of go back and forth. Like, I don't like the fact that some schools were doing it under the table before, and now the other schools weren't. But it should. If you're going to do this, it needs to be a level playing field. Then, if you're going to do this, every school should be able to. Why can't we institute a salary cap on this? Like, this was created from nothing, and now you're just letting it become just whatever you want it to be. Like, that would be like if baseball, was formed 3 years ago. Like, okay, baseball is a thing. We can institute a salary cap at the start of the league beginning. Yeah. Like, you're basically reinventing college football, and you're just saying, fuck it. Whoever wants to spend the most money, have at it. Like, I just, how does this, I don't know. The NCAA doesn't care. It's a money-making machine. They're printing money now. They are, not that they weren't before, but now they are, there's more eyeballs on it now, I'm sure. Ever since all this, the playoff, the NIL, all this, and now we're talking about it. Just the fact that we're talking about it.
10 years ago, there would never have been a game on a Friday night. Never. Now, let's do it.
It would be Northern Illinois and Kent State.
It'd be the Pop-Tart Bowl, whatever, right? Not again. That didn't matter. That nobody cares about. Whatever.
Yeah, no, it was on at the bar. That's it. That's the only people that watched it. Yeah. Now
stands are empty. Now you got ESPN, McAfee, all of it, because they're making money, and now the kids are getting their cut too. And it's I don't know if it's good. I don't know if it's good for it until they think they can regulate it, because now the have and have-nots are huge, because there's a lot of rich people in that country of yours that don't mind spending money to see their team win. Heaven forbid they give it to, like, I don't know, a homeless shelter or food bank or something. I don't know, just one of those things. But to watch their team win, way to go! Root for the home team. Sing the victory song. You fucking loser! Like, whatever, man.
Like, I get it if you want to spend your money here. If you're Dave Portnoy, but it gets to a point where, like, when does it become ridiculous? Because we're
at that point.
I think what you just said, like the homeless shelter, like stuff like that. I'm not saying that, spend your money how you want, but when sports are like completely and utterly, it seems like they are just completely about the money now. It doesn't seem like we're losing that often. Like, yeah, there's competitive players, sure. But as like from the top of the top, it's just changed the fact that it's no longer like pure and tradition and this and that. It's how do we make the most money on a Saturday afternoon now? It just, that's how it is. Or look at sports betting. Sports betting has created that. Like, there's anywhere you look, it's about the money.
Everything.
Can't get away from it.
Like, you think, like, how greasy it used to be. You used to have a bookie that you'd call it, had a shop over here, whatever, some underhanded deal. That is now, like, you look back, that was cleaner than what's happening now. Now it's like bet, spend. But before you kind of had to hide it. Now it's like it's wide, it's right in the open.
Well, that's the thing too. Like, I mean, baseball, I guess it would be kind of hard to do, and we'll get out of here soon. But like football, right? If I'm playing for USC and I'm a quarterback, well, no, let's go NFL. If I'm playing, because it's a lot easier to bet on certain things, I'm gonna be like, you know what? I'm telling like my fan, like anybody that doesn't have my last name, take this guy for a touchdown, and I'm making sure it happens, because now I can just give that family member $250,000 and put it on that, and knowing that damn near it's gonna happen. Like, as long as I make a play, it's gonna, like, you can just that alone, you can skew things so much. Like, you could just say, you know what,
easy. Every
week I'm gonna give you guys $500,000 to bet on something that I like. I'm the quarterback of the Bills. I'm gonna throw it to this guy in the red zone, and 9 times out of 10 he's open, or 7 times out of 10, whatever. But you could just easily, okay, I'm gonna even make more like money, and they're never gonna know because it's a person that's not even in my family.
Yeah, my second cousin, twice removed brother's sister's aunt. Watch this. Put down $20 here. Watch.
Yeah.
Done.
Or they can wire them.
Over under is, yeah, good. It'll be under.
Wire them $100,000 when you're making $40 million a year. What's that?
There's always a way, right? Yeah, they're investigating everything else, but there's always a way. And when money gets, and I said this before, this isn't even a Brent original. Money's the dirtiest word in the English language. And it's unbelievable. Like, the stuff you see and with sports and everything else, it's crazy. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, unfortunately, I guess it kind of turned into a negative show, but it's the
it was fun.
It's the world we live. It's the sporting world that it's turned into this. So, I appreciate you coming on. Tell the people where we can find you. You got it everywhere. So,
1420 Sports Bar Podcast, 4 Beer Sports, talking a whole lot more. Just recording whenever I can. Morning shows, afternoon, nights with you, whenever, however, just doing it all. So, yeah, a lot of fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can solve more problems than they even want to address, but that's this different discussion for a different day. So
there we go.
We will.
No, thanks for having me on. Thanks for doing this, Aaron. It's 9:30 in the morning. So now I got to go talk to the wife, see what she's doing.
Yeah, it's already approaching kickoff for the Penn State game here. Well, yeah, I mean, it is there too, but it's
Are they going to win?
30. I think they win today. I mean, I'd be shocked if they lose this one, but seen crazier things.
They might get Franklin. You never know.
That's as long as you're on the sideline, you gotta
watch that.
You gotta bite your fingernails a little bit, but yeah, definitely do it again soon. And shout out to the 1420 Sports Bar Podcast. Go check that out on all the platforms. Go check out Fan the Van. Who else? I don't know. Craft Brew Sports, the Belly Up Network. I'm not used to hosting, so I'm just kind of throwing anybody out there.
A little rusty.
Yeah, a little rusty on that one. So we will hopefully catch you at least once a week going forward, and take it easy and enjoy the weekend.
Have a good Christmas, Aaron. We'll talk to you later.